The repeated warnings had been ignored. The opportunity for repentance had passed. Jerusalem's sins had breached the dam of God's patience, and now wrath will overflow. We read these sobering words in Jeremiah chapter 52, verse 14. And all the army of the Chaldeans who were with the captain of the guard broke down all the walls of Jerusalem all around. At this time, Zedekiah sat upon the throne, the last line of wicked kings. He would preside over Jerusalem's fall. Like a sudden summer storm, with clouds deepening, Babylon's forces encircled Jerusalem. Jewish resolve had withered away like their physical strength as they were starving under the siege. Then a sudden thunderclap, and the storm broke. Babylon's armies breaching Jerusalem's defenses. Zedekiah attempted a getaway, but was apprehended. His fate would be horrible. Watching his sons executed before his very eyes, and then having his eyes put out, so the final image burned indelibly upon his brain was of his children's gruesome death. And it did not have to be. By this time, of course, there was no escape for Zedekiah or Jerusalem, but God had previously provided them a way to avoid judgment: repentance. But they would not turn from their wickedness. They would not seek the Lord. And so Jerusalem was burned, the walls broken into rubble, the inhabitants taken captive, and the temple spoiled of its treasures and then destroyed. Only some of the poor were left behind to care for what had then become Nebuchadnezzar's fields. For 70 years, the Jews would languish in exile. But in the midst of the dark clouds of judgment, the sun breaks through, a beam of grace. Another king who had been captured, Jehoiakim, would later be liberated from prison and cared for the rest of his days. In wrath, God remembers mercy. What about us? Can we as a nation think we will be an exception to the rule? I'm telling you, with the current trajectory that we find our country on, the end of the line is going to be judgment. One day will be our last day. And might it be this day? Have the dark forces not already breached our spiritual defenses and carried away our sons and daughters as captives to their will? If there is any hope, then we must quickly, fervently, sincerely seek the Lord. The clock is ticking.